The story starts in a kingdom. Inside the palace, there's a little girl named Yeyul, just 5 years old, kneeling with her servant before the emperor. Yeyul's mother is also there, lying helpless on the floor. The emperor is furious with Yeyul for wasting his time because of her mother's issue. Yeyul, too scared to respond, makes the emperor even angrier, and he orders her to be executed on the spot. The servant, hearing this, immediately bows and begs the emperor to reconsider, because Yeyul is actually the 7th princess. Even though she wasn't born of the queen, she is still the emperor's child, which makes her a royal princess. The emperor approaches Yeyul and, seeing her dirty and bruised face, mockingly asks if this girl is really a royal princess and why she constantly disobeys him. Yeyul trembles with fear, knowing her life is on the line and her mother is injured. She's confused about how she could die just 3 days after becoming the protagonist of this story. Yeyul tries not to cry because in the original story, the 7th princess crying only made the tyrant more furious, leading to her immediate execution. 3 days earlier, Yeyul was still in class, taking an exam to enter middle school. In the middle of the test, her vision became blurry, and then everything went black. When she regained consciousness, she found herself in the body of the 7th princess from a fictional story, an action-packed tale for boys with no female leads. Just moments ago, Yeyul's mother, a concubine, accidentally broke a ceramic ornament belonging to the 3rd princess. The 3rd princess, who is the queen's daughter and the emperor's favorite, acted out of spite. She whipped Yeyul's mother repeatedly, causing severe injuries. Seeing this, Yeyul tried to protect her mother and got hurt in the process. Worse, when this incident was reported to the emperor, he got angry at Yeyul for wasting his time and even considered executing her. Suddenly, the 3rd princess is kicking Yeyul, snapping her out of her thoughts. The 3rd princess is accusing Yeyul of pretending to be dumb to avoid punishment. The emperor is glaring at the 3rd princess for interrupting while he is talking to Yeyul. He then tells Yeyul that she looks too plain and ungraceful to be claiming she is his daughter. With her fate hanging by a thread, Yeyul decides to make a desperate move. She hugs the emperor, calling him father, and promises she won't disgrace his name when she grows up. The emperor clicks his tongue in annoyance at Yeyul's hug. He kicks her away, but Yeyul quickly runs back to hug him again. The emperor scolds Yeyul for her impudence. With one hand, he lifts Yeyul, showing her bruised face and pleading eyes, which makes him reconsider his decision. He then lets Yeyul drop to the floor, saying he will spare her for now. However, if she doesn't change by the time she grows up, she will be punished. Yeyul swears she will grow up to be a lovely woman and will not disappoint her father. In his heart, the emperor is marveling at Yeyul's bravery and calling him father repeatedly. He reaches out and pinches Yeyul's cheek, asking if she isn't afraid of him. Though terrified of the emperor, Yeyul is more afraid of dying. Despite the pain, she is stroking the emperor's hand and telling him he is magnificent, beautiful, and awe-inspiring. The emperor's servant thinks Yeyul is incredibly bold to act this way. But the emperor just stands silently for a moment with a cold expression, then says he will wait to see how Yeyul will change. Yeyul's cheek turns red and bruised from the pinch. Even though the servant explains that Yeyul is only 5 years old and her skin is still fragile, the emperor blames Yeyul for having skin that bruises easily. The emperor says that not only is Yeyul ugly, but she is also weak. After saying this, he turns around and prepares to leave. Despite the harsh words, Yeyul is happy because the emperor spared her life. However, just as she starts to feel relieved, the emperor stops and warns that if she ever brings shame to the family name, he won't hesitate to throw her to the wolves. The emperor keeps more than 10 wolves, all flesh-eating monsters. He throws anyone who opposes him into the forest at the back of the palace, watching from a safe spot as the wolves tear them apart. Rumor has it that the emperor enjoys this gruesome spectacle. Yeyul definitely doesn't want to become wolf food. The following day, Yeyul is placed in exile within the palace grounds. Her house is empty, with no food or servants, so she has to survive on her own. While contemplating her fate, Yeyul suddenly hears a growling sound. She follows the noise and discovers a white kitten. Yeyul finds the kitten adorable and instantly likes it. However, she notices the kitten's back leg is injured. Yeyul picks up the kitten and wraps her handkerchief around its wound. She wants to keep the kitten but doesn't have anything to give it. She's starving herself and has nothing to feed the kitten. Suddenly, the kitten slips through a hole in the wall into the neighboring yard. Feeling invited to follow, Yeyul squeezes through the hole as well. She's amazed to find a vast garden with a beautiful pond and gazebo on the other side of the wall. Her eyes sparkle as she spots a table full of delicious food inside the gazebo. Without thinking twice, Yeyul rushes into the gazebo, believing that perhaps a deity is showing her mercy by providing her with food. But then, Yeyul becomes aware of her surroundings and is shocked to find the Tyrant Emperor himself sitting inside the gazebo. Yeyul realizes her mistake of entering without permission and knows she should leave immediately. But seeing all the delicious food right in front of her and feeling extremely hungry, she's torn about leaving. Yeyul gets an idea to check if the Emperor is really asleep. She calls out softly to her father and waves her hand. Since the Emperor doesn't wake up, Yeyul is thrilled that she can eat. Whispering, Yeyul apologizes to her sleeping father for her rudeness, explaining that she's very hungry and asks for forgiveness. Then, she starts devouring the food as quickly as she can. Just as Yeyul is enjoying her meal, she hears the guard at the gate announcing that a concubine named Jin is requesting to see the Emperor. Knowing someone is coming and the Emperor will wake up, Yeyul quickly hides under the table, but still hungry. She manages to sneak a few buns into her sleeve. After Yeyul hides under the table, the Emperor wakes up and orders the guard to let concubine Jin in. Under the table, Yeyul is panicking, worried that if she's caught, she might be executed on the spot. Concubine Jin greets the Emperor, speaking in a sweet, seductive voice and wearing a revealing outfit. Yeyul finds Jin's flirty behavior a bit cringy. Suddenly, one of the buns Yeyul hid falls out and rolls near the Emperor's feet. In a panic, Yeyul quickly retrieves the fallen bun. It's unclear if the Emperor notices her, but he continues his conversation with concubine Jin. Concubine Jin tells the Emperor that she has just learned a new dance and wants to show it to him. The Emperor smiles and asks her to dance, instructing her to keep going until he says to stop. Concubine Jin blushes, thinking her seduction is working. But Yeyul, knowing the Emperor's true nature from the original story, can see from her vantage point under the table that the Emperor's smile indicates he's in a killing mood. One small mistake could mean immediate execution. Concubine Jin starts dancing in front of the Emperor, trying to please and captivate him. However, during her performance, her foot catches on her gown, causing her to lose balance and fall into the Emperor's lap. Concubine Jin is shocked when, instead of helping her, the Emperor chokes her and pushes her to the ground, ordering the guards to seize her. She begs for mercy, but the guards roughly drag her away. Yeyul can't believe the Emperor's cruelty. Despite enjoying Jin's dance, he shows no mercy and punishes her for an accidental mistake. While hiding under the table, Yeyul suddenly hears the Emperor asking how long she plans to hide down there and ordering her to come out immediately. Yeyul panics, thinking the Emperor is talking to her. Believing she's been caught and is about to be executed, she decides to eat her last bun before surrendering. Just as Yeyul is about to crawl out, she hears the kitten meowing and the Emperor telling it that he had to call it multiple times before it finally came. Relieved, Yeyul realizes the Emperor was talking to the kitten, not her. She thinks the kitten might be the Emperor's pet. With her stomach full and feeling sleepy from hiding so long, Yeyul plans to close her eyes for a bit and wait for the Emperor to leave. After a while, Yeyul wakes up, but her face turns to panic as she finds herself on the Emperor's resting couch. She doesn't know what happened, but assumes she sleepwalked there. Feeling lucky the Emperor isn't around, She quickly gets up and runs toward the hole in the wall to escape. As she's about to crawl through the hole, the kitten tugs at her dress, seemingly waiting for her. Together, they squeeze through the hole. From a distance, the Emperor watches Yeyul's antics. Instead of getting angry, he finds her behavior amusing. After they get through the wall, the kitten suddenly starts hissing at a group of people, indicating it's scared or angry. Yeyul thinks these people might have hurt the kitten's leg. Suddenly, someone lifts Yeyul from behind. It's a servant of the third princess. The third princess approaches Yeyul and asks if she was the one who saved the kitten. The servant is convinced that Yeyul saved the kitten because he saw her with it earlier. Unfortunately, not long after, another servant catches the kitten. Seeing this, Yeyul gets angry because they've hurt the kitten, so she bites the servant's hand to save it. The servant throws Yeyul to the ground and complains to the third princess about his injured hand. Hearing this, the third princess arrogantly orders Yeyul to be tied up and plans to feed her to the Emperor's wolves. A little while later, they are in the forest where the man-eating wolves are kept. Yeyul and the kitten lie weak and injured on the ground. Yeyul tries to protect the kitten, but she's too hurt to move. She hears growling and sees a pack of wolves approaching. Unable to do anything, Yeyul prays in her heart for someone to save her. Seeing their prey, one of the wolves quickly runs and leaps towards Yeyul. Yeyul lies flat on the ground, closing her eyes, bracing for what's to come. But for some reason, the wolf's attack never reaches her. When she opens her eyes, she sees someone standing in front of her. It's the Emperor with his bow. The Emperor kneels and sees Yeyul's bruised face, clicking his tongue in disapproval at what he finds. All the servants bow, but the Emperor glares at them with displeasure. The third princess can't believe what she just saw. She watched the Emperor use his bow to kill one of his own wolves just to save that despicable girl. The Emperor lifts Yeyul from the ground and carries her away. Before losing consciousness, Yeyul manages to ask her father to save the kitten too, making the Emperor think Yeyul cares more about the animal's safety than her own. At the palace gate, the Emperor's personal servant is urging the soldiers to bring the Emperor back inside. The servant was very worried earlier because the Emperor had been enjoying a musical performance in the palace. But suddenly he grabbed his bow and leapt out of a 10-foot-high window. In all the years of serving him, the servant had never been so shocked. The Emperor, carrying Yeyul, commands the wolves to return to the forest, and they obey immediately. He then orders a servant to call for a doctor. The Emperor also orders the servant to bring the kitten. Upon closer inspection, the servant realizes Yeyul's pet isn't a kitten. It's a tiger cub. As the Emperor walks back to the palace, the third princess greets him, but he scolds her for acting out, blaming his leniency. As punishment, he orders all of her servants to be executed. The servants beg for mercy, but nothing changes the Emperor's decision. The third princess can't believe it. Because of Yeyul, the Emperor is now looking at her with cold eyes and is willing to execute all her servants. She always knew her father was particular and hated filth, but now he's carrying that filthy girl. She wonders how this could happen. The Emperor takes Yeyul to his room and places her on his bed. The servant is puzzled because the Emperor never allows the queen or concubines in his bed. But now he's putting the seventh princess there himself. The servant even wonders if the Emperor is under a spell. But his thoughts are interrupted when the Emperor orders him to fetch a doctor immediately. After a while, Yeyul starts to wake up. She finds the Emperor sitting beside her, waiting for her to regain consciousness. Yeyul wonders if the Emperor saved her and how she ended up in his bed, with her clothes changed and her hair smelling nice. The Emperor tells her not to worry too much. Yeyul is thrilled by his kindness. The servant recalls how dirty Yeyul looked when they first met, covered in dust. But now, after being cleaned up, Yeyul looks lovely. It must be the Emperor's genes. A female servant arrives with medicine for Yeyul. The personal servant offers to give it to her, but the Emperor takes the medicine himself. The Emperor sits on the bed next to Yeyul with the medicine. In Yeyul's mind, the Emperor, though not very talkative, seems very dignified. She reminds herself to be careful to stay alive. The servant suggests cooling the medicine a bit before giving it to Yeyul. The emperor, though he says taking care of a child is troublesome, cools the medicine by blowing on it and then feeds it to Yeyul. The medicine is very bitter, but the servant suggests Yeyul eat a date to get rid of the taste. Yeyul enjoys the sweet fruit and notices the emperor watching her. She offers him a date. The servant is worried because the emperor doesn't like sweet things, but contrary to his expectations, the emperor accepts the date from Yeyul. She happily smiles and offers him more dates. The emperor has many children, and it's widely known that his favorite is the third princess, simply because she's the queen's daughter. But now, the emperor seems pleased with Yeyul, even stroking her hair, which surprises Yeyul with this affectionate gesture. What's going on with the tyrant emperor? Will he continue to be kind to Yeyul? And can Yeyul survive the emperor's cruel nature? Hit the like button and leave a comment below if you want us to continue this story in the next video. Thanks for watching, and we hope you enjoyed it.